the gun down now!
Oh, yeah, I know
Put it
that
down
one too,
now!
yeah. They ain't gonna
Put
win.
it down! Are you gonna shoot me? Go ahead, shoot me! Put it down now! Put it down! Brad!
I'm ready.
Oh, sorry, I didn't think there was anyone here. Just my jacket. I'll come back.
Jacket.
What do you call a copper with a neat tie and a clean shirt?
The defendant. Good one, Joe.
Not to mention an old one.
This is an inquest. No one's on trial.
Oh, you still look pretty sharp.
Yeah, well.
A jacket.
Ah, yeah. Thanks.
But Derek Farrell's sorted out. He's a top barrister.
Yeah, he's a nice bloke. He got me through a nasty one a few years back.
Raylene Darcy.
Yeah, look, you'll both be fine. We've seen the ESD and the homicide findings.
Nothing to worry about. Get behind us, get on with our lives.
Everybody ready? Susie? Yep. Let's go. You okay for this, Ben?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Ben, you've both gotten through the worst of this. Today is a mere formality.
Derek?
Now, the clerk tells me we won't get underway until 10:30 at the earliest.
You've seen the brief?
Yeah, look, it's pretty straightforward. The next door neighbour, she was first on the scene.
Harriet Donovan, yeah.
Well, she'll just present what she saw. ESD and homicide present their findings, and no other witnesses listed.
Lisa. I didn't expect you'd be here.
Why wouldn't I be?
It's my workmate.
I'd like to meet him.
Ben, this is Brad's sister, Lisa.
You're Sergeant Stewart.
Ben.
Maybe we can all meet up later. Mr. Farrow here was just saying he doesn't expect this will take too long.
Formality, really.
You think so? Well, I'll tell you in advance, Sergeant Stewart. It isn't going to be the walk in the park you expect it to be. You two murdered my little brother. I'm going to make sure you and Loverboy here get exactly what you deserve.
Miss Pingleton, excuse me.
I have an email.
From?
Brad. It proves it all.
Can we read it?
Thank you.
It says she was having sex with a colleague. You know, she wouldn't make love with my brother, but she was happy enough to screw around with somebody else. Locked in a wheelchair while she's...
Lisa, what this says is that she's getting satisfaction from her work.
Exactly. With Stewart.
Doesn't say that. Ben is not mentioned.
Ah, of course. Well, just wait till I'm in the witness box, Detective Hasham. When I've had my say, the coroner is going to get the message loud and clear.
We just need to scotch any thought that Ben and Susie were an idol.
Ben's engaged to be married. His fiancee's a Salvation Army captain. Her word should carry some weight.
I don't want to drag Marissa into this.
Evidence from her could testify to the improbability of the alleged affair.
Your parish to collect them.
Right, I want to go through your statements. You say you and Ben were alone in the station when you realised the gun was missing?
That's right.
No, Marissa was there, remember? Dinner date with the thingamies from the church. I'm so sorry.
Don't think Keith and Jane are taken to be called the thingamies.
It's my fault. I'm really sorry.
It's fine, don't worry.
You guys go ahead and I'll lock up. And she'd gone before we looked for my gun.
That is not what I remember.
There can't be any discrepancies in the evidence you present.
I know that.
I'm sorry, Ben.
No, come on, Marissa. We were going out to dinner and you came by to collect me.
Well, I remember it, but I left almost immediately. I really didn't see anything.
Are you sure? Could be important.
You guys go ahead and I'll lock up.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? I've got my car here anyway. I'll catch you up.
Yeah, but don't be long.
No, 2 minutes. That's all it takes. Yeah. Yeah, right, whatever you say. Can't ask you to lie.
Well, no, you can't.
All right, thank you.
With me.
Witnesses are called in order of their arrival on the scene. By the time Lisa's called, if she is, the coroner will have had all the evidence in your favour.
So it should just seem vindictive.
And unreliable.
Who's that guy Lisa's with?
That PJ is Michael Stackis, SC.
So why is he talking to the coroner and a senior counsel for an inquest?
You'd have to ask yourself why.
We're about to find out.
I've just had a very serious allegation put to me that may go to motive.
I take it you're referring to Lisa Fingleton's accusation? There's nothing to it.
Well, the witness believes that she has evidence to back up the allegation.
You're calling her?
I'm not only calling her, I'm altering the lineup of witnesses to hear her first. Do you need some more time to consider her statement?
No, we're aware of Ms. Fingleton's intentions. We've no fear of them.
Good.
You reckon?
Your Worship, I believe that Miss Fingleton's testimony will reinforce the evidence she's presented.
She'll get that opportunity, Mr. Stackis. But the email doesn't make it clear that the deceased is accusing his wife of adultery. And there's no specific mention of Sergeant Stewart. However, I will enter it in as evidence so that witnesses can be cross-examined in respect to its content.
Thank you, Your Worship. Miss Fingleton, you were in regular contact with your brother?
I called him at least once a week.
And what did you talk about?
Lately, before his death, he talked a lot about how unhappy he was.
I take it the cause of his unhappiness was his paraplegia.
Not just that. He was coping with that. He loved Melbourne. And when she dragged him away...
I'm sorry, you're referring to Constable Rayner?
His wife, yes. She thought Mount Thomas would be good for him. But Brad told me a number of times he was unhappy because she didn't love him anymore. If she ever did. It's unfair.
Did your brother ever speak of his sexual relations with his wife?
There were none. Brad worried that she made sexual demands on him that he couldn't fulfill.
Get off me, Sus, please. Get off me!
And he thought she looked down on him because of that.
He thought?
And he knew that she was getting sex elsewhere.
Did he tell you this?
Yes. He said she was having an affair with someone she worked with. That's not true.
Constable Rayner.
That's the way she described him, someone she worked with.
Yes. And then he told me the man's name. It was Sergeant Stewart, the man who murdered him.
Were you aware of these phone calls?
I suppose most of them happened when I was at work. I should have been home.
And you never heard anything to indicate that Brad wasn't happy?
Of course he was unhappy.
I have to ask you this, Susie, I'm sorry. But did you make sexual demands on Brad? Excessive demands?
You don't need me here, I'll leave you to talk.
Sit down, Ben. You're in this too.
Of course I tried to make love with him. All the time. I wanted to comfort him. No, that sounds wrong. I wanted to give him some happiness. Some of the happiness that he had before the accident.
All right, Susie. That's exactly what you tell the coroner. Just that.
I loved Brad. I would never have tried to pressure him into something he didn't want to do.
And Ben, you have to make it clear, very clear, that your relationship with Susie was a working one only.
That's the stupid part about it. That's all it ever was. He doesn't even like me anymore.
Ben, none of that matters. You love Marissa, you're going to marry her. That's it. That's what you say.
Yes, he'd been drinking.
And you'd seen him drunk before?
He'd have a few.
And in the past, you'd tried to help Mr. Fingleton with his drinking problem?
On one occasion.
And on the night of the shooting, he was drunk? Very drunk?
Yes.
Why do you think you were able to help Brad Fingleton with what you called his drinking problem?
I didn't call it that.
But you said he was drunk. Very drunk?
Yes.
You'd be the perfect person to decide whether he was drunk or not, being an alcoholic yourself.
I don't drink anymore.
You have a history of violence, don't you, Sergeant?
No.
No. Were you not in serious trouble for striking a prisoner some years ago?
In the line of duty.
In the line of duty. Always is. Was it in the line of your duty that you struck a superior officer?
No. Yes, I struck a superior officer, but it was under severe provocation.
Of course it was. You were having an affair with his wife and he objected severely and provoked you.
It wasn't like that.
Yet you expect us to believe you weren't attracted to Constable Rayner, this beautiful woman whom you're obliged to spend all your time with.
There is nothing between us.
A much younger woman than your previous lover. Married, of course, but that's the way you seem to like your romances.
Objection, Your Worship.
And you expect us to believe this because you say you are now in love with a Salvation Army captain.
Yes.
Is she married too, Sergeant?
Yes, I'm a Salvation Army officer, and no, I'm not married.
You told Her Worship that you were absolutely certain that your fiancé, Sergeant Stewart, was not having an affair with Constable Rayner?
I did.
And does being a member of the Salvation Army also bring you some mystical power to be omniscient or know what's going on behind your back?
If by mystical power you mean faith and trust in your fellow man, then, well, yes, I suppose it does.
Faith and trust, not knowledge?
I knew of Ben's past relationship with the inspector's wife.
And you forgave him?
Of course.
But you have nothing on which to base your belief in his current fidelity other than faith and trust?
I would know if Ben was having an affair with anyone, let alone a colleague.
You are a Salvation Army captain, are you not?
Yes.
And Sergeant Stewart is one of your converts?
He's a soldier, yes.
And as such, did you not both pledge to, let me quote here, abstain from anything unworthy, unclean, profane or immoral?
Yes.
Such as premarital sex?
Yes.
So, Sergeant Stewart, who has a long history of dalliance with married women and others, has miraculously sublimated his raging desires for the Salvation Army?
Yes.
Do you really expect us to believe that?
Yes, I do.
I should think it unlikely that Constable Rayner has taken the same oath of celibacy. We've heard about the excessive sexual demands you made on your husband.
Objection.
Withdrawn. How often did you demand sex from your husband, Constable?
Objection, Your Worship.
Mr. Stackis, this is not a criminal court, and no one is on trial here.
You are, I take it, a normal, healthy woman, Constable?
I suppose so.
We can all see that you are. And as such, you have the normal needs and appetites of a normal, healthy woman.
I suppose so.
So when your husband, crippled as he was unable to satisfy your demands, who did you turn to, Sergeant Stewart?
No, I didn't.
Objection, Your Worship.
Mr. Stackis.
Withdrawn, Your Worship.
No one is on trial here. They're crucifying us in there.
Come on, Ben, it's just tactics. Lawyers justifying their money.
It's typical. They've got nothing to go on, so they spend their time harassing you and Marissa.
Evidence. That's all that matters.
It was the noise that upset me.
You heard the noise of the shooting?
Oh, yes, but I'm not referring to that. It was the other noise.
I'm sorry, the other noise?
Well, the walls of that flat are paper thin. I could hear them there all the time, sometimes at night and sometimes in the middle of the day.
I'm sorry, who exactly are you referring to?
Well, them, of course. The police officers, her and him. Always there, going at it like a couple of randy cats.
Mr. Farrow?
Yes, Your Worship. You understand, Miss Donovan, that you're under oath?
Of course I do.
And that these accusations amount to perjury?
Well, I'm not making any accusations. I'm only telling you what I heard.
Then you must have also heard the shouting at the time of the shooting.
Well, I could hardly not hear it.
Well, then you heard Sergeant Stewart shouting, "Put down the gun, put it down."
No, I didn't hear that.
Miss Donovan, you're under oath. And you just told us a moment ago that the walls are paper thin, that you heard the shouting.
What I heard was that poor man, the one in the wheelchair, shouting, "Please put down the gun, please don't shoot."
I put it to you, Miss Donovan, that you are deliberately lying.
Well, I'm telling you exactly what I heard.
Then why did you not make these allegations in your statement?
Well, they're the police. They can get away with anything. And they're murderers. But I saw her put the gun in his hand.
This is a total fabrication, Your
If
Worship.
they kill a man in a wheelchair, then what can they do to me?
There's no doubt she's lying, but she is the only real witness.
Yeah, other than Lisa Fingleton.
Thanks for that, Parish. It doesn't help.
Yeah, what I'm saying is maybe Lisa and Harriet are working together.
No, look, Lisa was very forthcoming about this email. I just don't think that she's hiding anything.
Two witnesses still carry a lot more weight than one. I think we've got a real problem here.
Well, now he's not helping.
Yeah, all right. Let's concentrate on breaking this woman's story.
Look, I can understand what's driving Lisa, but what is driving Harriet Donovan?
Well, there are two types of people that have it in for the coppers.
Crooks that have been caught by them and victims that think they haven't seen justice done.
There's no Harriet Randall either.
Randall?
Maiden name. She's divorced now, but...
Go through the running sheets.
Yeah, right.
And check Ben's day books.
You're joking. But that'll take days.
You haven't even got hours.
And when you arrived on the scene, Senior Detective, where was Constable Rayner's gun?
It was on the floor about a metre from the body.
But Ms Donovan claimed that Constable Rayner was trying to put it into the deceased's hand.
Nowhere near him.
Nowhere near him.
No.
So when Miss Donovan interrupted Constable Rayner putting the gun in her dead husband's hand, startling her, she staggered back, dropped it on the floor a metre away. Would the position of the gun fit that particular scenario, Detective?
It also would fit Brad dropping the gun after he was shot.
Please answer the question, Detective. Would it fit that scenario?
Possibly. Yes.
Thank you. One more question, Detective. You took possession of Sergeant Stewart's pistol.
Yes.
And you checked the firearm?
Yes.
And the body?
Yes.
And how many times did your colleague, Sergeant Stewart, shoot Brad Fingleton, Detective?
4 times.
Four times. Your colleague with his .38 caliber pistol shot Brad Fingleton, a man confined to a wheelchair, 4 times.
Well, you actually can't put it that simply.
Please answer the question, Detective. Did he shoot this paraplegic man 4 times?
Yes.
Seems a bit over the top, doesn't it?
Are police members trained in the use of their firearms, Senior Detective?
Yes, of course.
And what is the training procedure when a member is confronted by an armed attacker who you believe is about to shoot you or any other person?
We're trained to aim at the largest part of the body, the upper body, and to continue firing until the threat no longer exists.
And why is that?
Because the first bullet doesn't always stop the assailant.
And in your...
Please, when I was confronted on the job with a woman with a machete, I had no choice but... Listen, this happens in a split second.
This was my brother, an unarmed man in a wheelchair.
Miss Fingleton, please sit down.
Here. Herbert Randall. It's the same as Harriet Donovan's maiden name. There's got to be a connection. This guy's 82 years old, lives on Babbage Street, complaint about a dead dog. I bet Ben's made the file, no offence detected, so it might be dead end.
Yes, Harriet Randall. Is her father's name listed by any chance? Yeah, Herbert, thank you very much. Yeah. Babbage Street, great, thank you. Got it.
Hasn't been lived in for months. This is serious, Joe.
Yeah, I'm calling the agent. We've got to find this Herbert guy. Message bank. Hi, this is Senior Constable Parish, Mount Thomas Police. Could you call me ASAP? Thanks. This is not looking good.
You want to tell that to Ben?
As soon as we realised my gun was missing, we rushed out to find Brad.
We checked the house. He hasn't lived in it for months. It's empty. It's up for sale.
That's all you found out.
And I was worried that he...
Senior Sergeant Croydon.
Sorry, Your Worship.
Go on.
He'd been drinking. He had the gun and he was angry.
Why?
He accused Sergeant Stewart and me of having an affair.
And were you?
No. Definitely not.
What happened then?
My husband was pointing the gun at me, and Sergeant Stewart drew his own gun. He tried to talk sense to Brad, but Brad wouldn't listen. He then aimed at Sergeant Stewart, who'd moved away from me, my husband was shouting. Sergeant Stewart kept asking him to put the gun down.
And what were you doing?
He aimed at me again. He said he was going to kill me. And that's when Sergeant Stewart fired.
He fired to save your life?
Yes.
You must have been terrified for your life. Were you, Constable Rayner, terrified for your life? Did you think this man whom you claim you love, and who loved you, did you think he was really going to kill you in cold blood? No?
No. I didn't think he would kill me.
All stand. Just is now adjourned and we recommence at 10 a.m.
If you knew that Brad wasn't going to shoot, why didn't you tell me? I didn't have to kill him, did I?
What are they doing?
Tearing themselves apart.
Right, Ben, Susie, we're going to the pub.
No, not tonight, not after today.
Yes, tonight.
Ben. Hey, why don't we get a pizza and a bottle of wine and relax? Huh? No. Let's go.
This could be the condemned man eating his last meal, Chris, so I get a good one.
Oh, there's one for Susie too, not coming?
Ben?
Sorry, I should have warned you, the doubles.
Hi.
Hi. Drink?
Lemon lime and bitters, thanks.
Yeah, well, give it.
Another one of these for me.
You've had a hard day.
Oh, I don't know. Mere formality that turned out to be a witch hunt.
I think the worst of it's over.
Really? I'm the guy who killed a man because he wasn't going to shoot at his wife.
Susie wasn't dumping on you, mate.
Well, you'd know. You were the one who made a meal out of how many times I fired. How Brad wasn't a madman with a machete. He was just a cripple in a wheelchair. Did I remember to thank you for that?
Don't say any more.
What more could I say, Marissa? What else is there that I could say?
Look, you've had a drink and you're just not used to it, but...
No. I'm a reformed alcoholic. And a womanizer. And a killer.
Oh, Ben, don't.
I don't know why on earth you would want to marry me.
Because I love you.
Then you must be a fool. Where are the drinks?
You're getting one.
Right. I'll get my own. It wasn't just the booze. Sometimes I'm my own worst enemy. I'd make a dreadful husband.
You don't mean that.
I'd never blame you if you changed your mind, if you didn't want to go through with it.
Ben, of course I want to go through with it. But do you?
Yes, of course I did.
Well?
What?
Ben, you gave her hell last night. I wouldn't blame her if she broke up with you.
Well, thankfully, Marissa is too much of a Christian to dump someone just because they're a drunken, womanising killer.
It's all right, Benny. Whatever you say.
Sergeant, there's something we should talk about. You too, Peach.
Herbert Randall. Yeah, Bert. That rings a bell.
I hope it does more than that. We need to know what's behind Harriet Donovan's testimony, and this is all we've got. He's her father.
Yeah, he made a complaint a few months ago.
Yeah, I remember him. He's a nice old bloke. He's half-deaf. And he had a dog. He called it his hearing dog.
Hearing dog?
Yeah, he said that it did his listening for him. It was a boxer, and he called it Rocky. And he reckons that someone poisoned it.
And had they?
Well, he blamed the woman next door.
Well, it's in your day book. Reynolds? Jill Reynolds?
Yeah, right. But she didn't do it, that's right. She was a really nice person. She used to look after him, cooking meals, that sort of stuff. She could talk, though.
And what's this got to do with his daughter, Harriet?
I'm sorry, boss. I got no idea. I marked the file, no offence detected, and I forgot about it.
Might be worth having another word with the neighbour, eh?
Well, the estate agent says Harriet Donovan's handling the sale on behalf of her father.
Did he say why?
Well, he's in a home. Doesn't look like he's leaving anytime soon.
Hey. She looked like a dog killer to you? But the dog did get poisoned.
Yeah, he blamed me.
What, did you?
Oh, I couldn't do a thing like that. And it was a wonderful hearing dog. We did have a possum.
Sorry?
In the roof. Filthy creatures, they poo and wee everywhere. Oh, excuse me. I had them too, but I got rid of mine. Would you mind? Soup's heavy. Meals on wheels. Thanks.
So, these possums, you poison them?
No, I just poison people. No. I blocked all the holes up where they used to get in.
So what do you know about his daughter, Harriet?
The high and mighty Ms. Donovan, far too busy with her own life to worry about her poor old dad.
Did she ever live here with him?
Not after she married, no. She popped in once or twice, gave the place a bit of a clean. After the divorce, less than ever. Too ashamed, I suppose.
Of being divorced?
She should have moved right in and taken care of him. Huh. Serves her right, she can't sell the house now.
So Mr. Randall's in a nursing home?
He had a stroke. Well, that'll be eating up her inheritance, what there was of it. Anyway, I must fly. They'll be hungry for lunch. See ya.
Oh, that was a help.
Oh, I think we should talk to Herbert.
I won't do it. I won't let you say that.
I don't think you appreciate your situation. I know it's only the Donovan woman's word against yours, but it could be enough.
Enough for what?
Enough to swing the coroner into recommending that OPP pursue criminal charges.
She wouldn't do that.
She could, and she very well might. When you add your sister-in-law's testimony to that of Harriet Donovan...
Are you saying we could be charged with murder?
Very possibly. Ben, at least. What I'm offering you is the best solution.
Brad was my husband, and I loved him. I won't let you say that.
Ben may not feel the same way.
PJ is investigating the Donovan woman, and he'll find out why she's lying.
Better find out soon. Wouldn't you say, Constable, that your husband was deeply depressed, almost pathologically so most of the time?
I wouldn't put it like that.
That he hated his life, bound to a wheelchair, unable to use his legs, unable to make love to you.
Things have been very
I
difficult
put it to you,
for him.
Constable, that your husband was so deeply depressed he was in fact suicidal.
No, that's not true.
Shoot me! Go ahead! Shoot me!
Put it down now!
But you said so yourself, that you feared that was the case.
I've asked you not to do
So
this.
you must also agree that it is very possible that he used Sergeant Stewart as the instrument of his suicide.
No.
That he used Sergeant Stewart to commit the suicide. He was too fearful to commit himself.
That is a vicious lie.
Miss Finkelton,
By
I
what
will
has
warn you
become
again.
known as suicide by cop.
You put him up to this.
I did not. I told you not to do this.
I'm sorry. Sergeant Stewart agreed.
Please state your full name and occupation.
Marion Johns, police psychologist.
Miss Johns, as police psychologist, it would be your job to treat Brad Fingleton and his wife after the accident in which he became a paraplegic.
That's correct.
Can you tell us how you found them to be coping?
Well, Constable Rayner seemed to cope quite well. She has a great deal of strength.
And her attitude to her husband?
She seemed anxious to do everything that she could for him. She seemed to be putting her own welfare on hold while she helped minister to his.
And Mr. Fingleton?
He alternated between blaming everyone except himself for the accident and then assuming enormous personal guilt over the death of the young driver.
But surely you were able to help him with this terrible guilt that he felt.
I tried to help Brad see that he was doing his duty at the time and that he had to forgive himself before he could forgive anyone else.
That must have helped him, surely.
I'm afraid not. I believed he would never be able to cope with his guilt. I recommended that Brad Fingleton be pensioned out.
I never knew that. I never knew that he told me he quit.
And Ms. Johns, you also treated Constable Rayner after her husband was shot by Sergeant Stewart.
Yes, I did.
And is it possible that beneath her natural grief, she felt some element of relief at her husband's death? A young woman, healthy, with normal appetites and desires, suddenly finds herself chained to a man in a wheelchair.
Mr. Stackers, that point hasn't been made.
Your Worship. Is it possible, Miss Johns, that Constable Rayner felt relief at her husband's death?
It's possible, yes.
Susie, listen to me.
Leave me alone, Ben.
No, hear me out, please. After Harriet Donovan's evidence and Lisa's, the coroner could well recommend murder charges.
Would you leave me alone?
Derek thought that it was the only way for us to go, for both of us. I'm sorry, Susie. I'm so sorry.
Why don't you get yourself a coffee?
Thanks, bye.
So the only connection between Ben and this Harriet Donovan is this thing with his father's dog.
And what with his stroke and deafness, we got exactly nowhere with him.
Well, look, I put it down as no offence detected because I figured that he probably poisoned the dog himself by mistake. I told him that the dog died of natural causes.
So you lied to him?
What do you want about? He was an old man. He was half senile. He just lost his best mate. I didn't want him to feel bad.
So why would his daughter have it in for you?
I've got no idea.
I want another look at that house.
Well, it makes sense. Old man's losing it. Buys some rat poison, leaves it lying around, dog eats it. Dead dog.
He calls the police, thinking the neighbours poisoned the dog. Ben attends, realises what's happened, and makes it easy on him.
But Harriet thinks the neighbour has done it, and that Ben should have followed it through.
So she tries to get Ben done for murder?
I just don't get it. Let's see what Jill has to say.
Oh, no, he'd never poison his possum. He encouraged it.
But if it was pooing and weeing in his house...
No, he used to feed it. He loved it.
Jill, someone must be responsible.
Well, I know who I'd be looking at.
You think Harriet killed her father's dog?
Oh, no, not the dog. No, she knew what that meant to poor old Bert. No. She hardly ever used to visit him, though. And when she did, I could hear her all the way over here, the complaints.
About?
Well, about the house, about the dirt, about the dishes in the sink, about the unmown lawn.
The pooing and the weeing.
I saw her on the roof one day up a ladder with a box. It was the day before your policeman came. It was just a few days before poor Bert had his stroke and they took him away.
Rat poison?
Yeah, somewhere under the tree, too.
Right, we need to speak to Harriet Donovan again.
What evidence have we seen, Your Worship? An email, which is at best ambiguous, and which refers to Constable Rayner seeking fulfilment, not from sex, but from the work to which he is dedicated. The victim's sister, through her devotion to her younger brother, her obsessive devotion...
Look, we haven't got much time here. Why did you give that testimony at the inquest?
Because I wanted to see justice done at last.
What have you got against Sergeant Stewart?
I never
That's
met
not what I asked. Why did you lie about him and Constable Rayner? Look, we haven't got much time here. We know that you killed your father's dog. We know that.
What? I didn't.
You gave it rat poison.
That wasn't for the dog, that was for
For the possum, right? But the dog ate the poison? So you killed his dog?
No, it was that woman next door.
But that's what you told your father, isn't it? That it was the neighbour? And then Sergeant Stewart attended. And he didn't find any evidence, so he left it open. And Jill Reynolds heard you and your father fighting.
He was going on about the dog, saying how he wanted the person responsible caught. I lashed out. I said he probably did it himself by accident.
And he had a stroke, didn't he, Miss Donovan? You were fighting with him and he had a stroke?
It was Sergeant Stewart's fault. If he'd have just said that the neighbour did it, then Dad would have had an answer and he probably would have been able to calm down.
And you could pretend you weren't responsible. Harriet, we need you to tell the truth.
An affair is not a crime in itself, but the killing of Brad Fingleton and the attempt to place a gun in his hand must be heard in the criminal jurisdiction.
Your Worship?
Detective Hasham, what the hell's going on?
Your Worship, a serious matter has come up that could affect your findings.
Mr. Farrow, do you know about this?
The matter is serious, Your Worship, and I think you should hear from Harriet Donovan.
I lied.
There's not a day goes by when I don't see the look in his eyes. When the first bullet hit him.
Ben, I can't talk about
I don't want to be responsible for taking another human life as long as I live. I don't know how to face myself. I don't know how to face God. I killed him, Susie. I'm a murderer.
No, you're not. Brad didn't want to live. No matter how much I loved him, he didn't want to live. And he couldn't do it himself. He made you shoot him. He made you do it. I'm so sorry.
I find that Sergeant Stewart's actions were reasonable
In the circumstances?
and cannot be attributed any blame.
I make no adverse finding.
Excuse me? I make no adverse finding in relation to his actions.
On this occasion.
On this occasion.
You guys gonna eat or do you want to talk all night?
Just hold on, Chris. What about Harriet Donovan?
She'll be charged with perjury. Ah, here they are, just in time for a toast.
That's prawn cocktails and porterhouse steaks, eh?
I don't think so. Well, what about a toast to our friends? Well done. Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
You're not staying long, just have to see you for a moment alone.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Excuse us. I'm all right.
love me in your own way. But it's just not going to work, is it? We both want to be the rescuer, not the rescued. And it's just not going to work, is it? I know you're too much of a gentleman to call this off. So... I want to do it for you.
A mere formality.
Put it down! Hey! Put the gun down now!
Hey, yeah, I know
Put it
that
down
one.
now! They ain't gonna Put it down! Are you gonna shoot me? Go ahead! Shoot me! Put it down now! Put it down! Brad!
I'm ready.
Oh, sorry, I didn't think there was anyone here. Just my jacket. I'll come back.
A jacket.
What do you call a cover with a neat tie and a clean shirt?
The defendant. Good one, Joe.
Not to mention an old one. This is an inquest. No one's on trial.
Oh, you still look pretty sharp.
Yeah, well.
A jacket.
Ah, yeah. Thanks.
But Derek Farrell's sorted out. He's a top barrister.
Yeah, he's a nice bloke. He got me through a nasty one a few years back.
Raylene Darcy.
Yeah, look, you'll both be fine. We've seen the ESD and the homicide findings.
Nothing to worry about. Get behind us, get on with our lives.
Everybody ready? Susie?
Yep.
Let's go. You okay for this, Ben?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Ben, you've both gotten through the worst of this. Today is a mere formality.
Derek? Now, the clerk tells me we won't get underway until 10:30 at the earliest.
You've seen the brief?
Yeah, look, it's pretty straightforward. The next door neighbour, she was first on the scene.
Harriet Donovan, yeah.
Well, she'll just present what she saw. ESD and homicide present their findings, and no other witnesses listed.
Lisa. I didn't expect you'd be here.
Why wouldn't I be?
It's my workmate.
I'd like to meet him.
Ben, this is Brad's sister, Lisa.
You're Sergeant Stewart.
Ben.
Maybe we can all meet up later. Mr. Farrow here was just saying he doesn't expect this will take too long.
Formality, really.
You think so? Well, I'll tell you in advance, Sergeant Stewart. It isn't going to be the walk in the park you expect it to be. You two murdered my little brother. I'm going to make sure you and Loverboy here get exactly what you deserve.
Miss Pingleton, excuse me.
I have an email.
From?
Brad. It proves it all.
Can we read it?
Thank you.
It says she was having sex with a colleague. You know, she wouldn't make love with my brother, but she was happy enough to screw around with somebody else. Locked in a wheelchair while she's...
Lisa, what this says is that she's getting satisfaction from her work.
Exactly. With Stewart.
Doesn't say that. Ben is not mentioned.
Ah, of course. Well, just wait till I'm in the witness box, Detective Hasham. When I've had my say, the coroner is going to get the message loud and clear.
We just need to scotch any thought that Ben and Susie were an item.
Ben's engaged to be married. His fiancee's a Salvation Army captain. Her word should carry some weight.
I don't want to drag Marissa into this.
Evidence from her could testify to the improbability of the alleged affair.
Good parish to collect them.
Right, I want to go through your statements. You say you and Ben were alone in the station when you realised the gun was missing?
That's right.
No, Marissa was there, remember? Dinner date with the thingamies from the church. I'm so sorry.
Don't think Keith and Jan are taken to be called the thingamies.
It's my fault. I'm really sorry.
It's fine, don't worry.
You guys go ahead and I'll lock up. And she'd gone before we looked for my gun.
That is not what I remember.
there can't be any discrepancies in the evidence you present.
I know that.
I'm sorry, Ben.
No, come on, Marissa. We were going out to dinner and you came by to collect me.
Well, I remember it, but I left almost immediately. I really didn't see anything.
You sure? Could be important.
You guys go ahead and I'll lock up.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead? I've got my car here anyway. I'll catch you up.
Yeah, but don't be long.
No, 2 minutes.